Evening and welcome to the regular town council meeting for May 6, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to stand and say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ask everyone to join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, adoption of the minutes. Will we have those for next meeting? There should be a few of them. We had resolutions last week. Yes. And then we'll have tonight's resolutions. And I guess probably the meeting before that too. Should be a few of them.
Yeah, we'll get caught up.
Okay.
Nicole will be back, either this week or first of next week, and we'll get caught up.
Okay, great. All right, moving on to presentations. Tonight we have Rob Duplessis of RJD Appraisal to discuss the timeline for the revaluation.
Good evening, all.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Give us a rundown on this.
Well, the last time we met, I brought in the proposal to do the reval where we're gonna visit 4 quarters of all the property in town, I'll take 1 quarter every year.
Yep.
And then that 5th year, do the sales analysis, and update all of our schedules, set new values for everywhere. And during the council meeting, we talked about cutting that into thirds instead of quarters.
Yep.
After that, the ball kind of got dropped. The old manager who said she wanted to write up the contract for this whole thing, and I kind of waited, never saw the contract, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page if we're going to start doing thirds, taking 4 years, or doing quarters and taking 5 years. I guess
Okay.
it comes down to a budget thing now. We haven't budgeted the right amount of money to do a third every year. So,
Thought we did.
I mean, I think we, well, that's where the ball may have been dropped. I mean, I think the council had all thought that we were moving forward with this option 2 as going into thirds.
yeah,
But which I guess, is that still an option?
Yeah.
As,
it is,
as long as we can financially do that.
right. The only difference would be, because every quarter is 30,000,
Right,
cost us.
yeah,
And then so it'd be 40,000 for thirds. The only thing is that however the council wants to go about this. In my long-term planning, I put it down as thirds. But admittedly, when I did the field, when we've been doing the field work, we've only done half so far. We've done 2 quarters, not 2 thirds. That's when I discovered which way we're gonna go with this whole thing. So, and I can still do both. I have plenty of manpower. And the idea we just do the last half this year and get onto it next year, but it's all in your budget. And the reason it's a little bit of a concern for me, because if we go back to the 4 quarters in the reval, I have to take another project and move it up a year, so I'll have enough time to do it all, so.
so it's better for you to go with thirds?
Yep.
Like we kind of all had thought
Right.
to begin with. And the financial difference of kind of trying to figure that here, I guess we would,
So.
it would be the second option.
The
So
second
for the
option.
2025-26 budget.
Yeah.
We need to budget 182, and then in the 26-27, we would budget 30,500
Right,
for a total of 212,500.
that's right,
The difference would be that instead of in this budget, if we went the other option, is 30,000 in this budget period, and then 2026 budget period, and then 152,
right.
and then 30,500.
It just staggers it out another year.
So you're just, yeah, you're pushing it another year, but you're also pushing kind of all that,
Right,
all those things to hit the budget. I think financially, your thought was that we would use the fund balance for
Either
that
way.
portion.
I think, no matter when we do it, I think that it would make sense to use fund balance for the the final portion of this, which is, the sizable portion. Either, whichever year we do it.
And it makes sense to do that because it's a one-time thing,
Mhm.
not reoccurring, not
Right.
something you'll have to budget for in the future, obviously, at some point they'll have to, but not in the next
No,
5, 10
for sure.
years,
Well,
whatever, well,
shouldn't be.
I guess if you're always keeping up with it, then.
Yeah, I mean, future planning would be another conversation.
Right,
It'd be
right,
good
right.
to do these quarters almost consistently, then you can, when you change your values, I mean, we haven't changed values in 30 years here.
Right,
You
yeah,
know, before Jim left.
right, so once we talk about that discussion, we will
Yeah.
then talk about having a placeholder of
The best way to.
$30,000 a
Right.
year to just keep doing it forever.
And then like a lot of the towns we do now, the market's going up so fast, we've been doing these quarters, so I'm able to go in. Sometimes if they want something very basic, if we realize there's one factor, apply one factor to everybody the same way, land and buildings.
Right,
Gets us closer to that 100% of market value. And we don't have to do this big chunk. And that's really the way to go. Everything will be in Trio, all computerized,
yeah,
so we don't have to worry about recreating records, just modifying, but.
so. The total. So we paid you
60,
60 so
yeah,
far,
Q1 and Q2,
yeah,
and then the bottom has already been done. My second invoice was to you, I don't know, a week or so ago. I know you budgeted for that, so just be imagine a matter of budgeting the final half, which would be 60. We'll do that this fall.
piece,
We, in our budget right now, we have 45 because we didn't have anything in the 6-month budget.
Right.
So we have basically 18 months at the 30 means over that span is 45. So it would mean that piece of it would go from 45 to 60, and then you have the revaluation portion. We'd have 4 of those payments in the upcoming budget. Totals of 182, 60, and then the 30,500
times 4,
times 4.
yeah. But we have 40,
And we have 45,000 of it already in there.
in the budget that we were working for 26, 25, 26.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so that's why you're getting that lower up, that option 2 on your spreadsheet is what we're looking at again. So it's a matter of whether you want to use the fund balance this year and expedite things, or use it next year and go slower. I think either way it comes out of fund balance.
Mhm.
But where we. What number were we at with using fund balance? It was the 265. Plus 480. Or 492 or something like that.
Yeah, I can go grab my budget book, but we were,
Yeah, I think I did. It was we were gonna always use like the 480. 480,000 or 488,000 and from fund balance, and then the 265 is the portion of fund balance that we were gonna use for the culverts. We're gonna use basically 750,000. So we'd be close to 900,000. If I have it noted somewhere here.
I had the culverts, but
What's that?
said I had the culverts for 265 there. What was the other one?
Just the original budget that,
The other number I've written down is 482 and 795.
but I had some notes on
Fund
it.
balance.
What's that?
So the two amounts I had for removing from fund balance was the 265 and the 482.
Yeah.
795.
those numbers.
Yeah, it's those 2 numbers. But we would then need to,
Would be
we would
another.
now be adding 182.
Actually, 40, we have 45 of that.
Oh, okay, one.
Yeah, it's like 140.
137.
142 sounded
Right. You said 45, right?
Oh, 45.
Yeah,
45,
yeah.
137.
That's what I get.
Hmm. 137. 265.
Question on, at some point in time, quarter one that you did in 2023 could get stale, is that possible?
Well, not really.
No.
Just because, I mean, it'll be the longest time between looking at them and putting new numbers to them. But any building permits that were issued in quarter one, but all throughout town, will do. Then through the process of setting the new values, once we analyze all the sales, you know, we create new charts and schedules for land and buildings, excuse me, based on what's sold in town for the last 3 years. We go back out and put an eye on every property one more time, a final review. And if we see anything on putting that eye on it from quarter one that may have been missed, we tag it and go pick it up with our regular building permit work in the spring, so. There'll be one more set of eyes on everything.
So that's how you don't, yeah, like you don't miss anything and
Right.
you're able to make sure that what you did in 2023 is relevant
Correct.
at the,
Yeah.
at the end.
So the guys go out in any quarter, they go out, discover that, is there anything on the face of the earth that we don't have? Add it or take away what's not there anymore. That way the record is factually correct now, using the old schedule still. And setting the record up for when we do set our new values, we get some new coding for Trio, we a little bit more creative in how we do things, and we implement that later. So, yeah, we'll be looking at everything, anything that's sold, we'll look at least twice more, so. The odds are very low that we'll miss something.
Okay. Obviously, we don't have to make that decision tonight, it's gonna have to be. Do we have to have another resolution for that? Didn't we already kind of decide what we were doing?
We already voted on what we were supposed to do. It sounds like the
We just,
contract wasn't,
Did-
you don't have a contract to do this work yet.
Do not.
so that's what we,
This is strange, because thought I remembered it coming through the council, like, we discussed all of this and we approved it and everything, and it should still be on the record, and Jack should be able to offer you a contract based on the vote that was made. I think the payment schedule is what would need to be sorted out.
Right.
But I mean, I think the council
and that would
already
just be
gave
a
the
matter of us.
authorization
Yeah.
to do it, so I wouldn't think we'd have to have a resolution for it again.
Do you remember when we had that discussion?
Well, it was before 2023.
20, yeah, it would have been
Because if
22,
you
I
did
guess.
part of the
20,
work in 2023, then.
Yeah, it would have been
would've
20, Eric and,
2023.
Eric and Craig were on council, I think, so it would have been 22. So we'd have to look back and, I can look back and try to find that. Or you
Because
can,
we put out,
should be able-
we decided we wanted to do it. You
Right.
came in and gave a presentation, we decided we wanted to do it. We put out an RFP, and I think you were the only one. No,
Usually
maybe
is.
there was two. I think there was 2 or 3, and one of them like was really far away, and like, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I did see the minutes where that was voted too.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Oh, you have.
Yeah, and then we went through the RFPs and we decided to go in-house because you're already here and you know everything and.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
So,
And I thought we had already settled on
Guess
what
we
the
already had a-
payment was and when it was gonna start and how quickly it was gonna be done, and I mean, I. thought
yeah, I mean,
this
I think it
like
was based
Going
off,
on already.
Right.
I think it was based off of this. This schedule here that we had from, oh, yeah,
I'll go
sorry.
grab my folder, because I
I
have.
think, I mean,
have a copy of the minutes.
that's a guess, but, I
I'll go
think,
grab my folder, because I have a copy of the minutes.
I think that was like what was presented, like, but that,
Yeah, that looks right.
It was
It's a
some-
3-year process, and then on the 4th year,
Right.
everything is captured and
Right.
and it would go into effect in the 4th year.
right,
And that works, right.
which there you go, there's the 152, 5 plus 40.
Cause I remember I was like, oh, we're
And
gonna
you had
pay for
two-
it
Okay,
over
so that's,
several years, and we know it's gonna be a little bump in the budget, but it's not gonna be like a big hit, now we have a big hit.
Now we have a big one.
But I'm wondering though, because we I thought we had it in the budget those other years, saying, oh, this is for this, this is for this, and it sounds like we budgeted for it, it just wasn't paid. And if that money wasn't used, then it went into the general
Right.
fund anyway,
Right.
so.
No,
it's-
Yeah, that's true.
you've been paid on.
I've been paid, I just seen that,
2 of the years, right?
I did 2 quarters, not 2/3.
Right.
Cause everything was, I wasn't getting an answer, big flux, you know, everything's been going on here, so. I
Right,
took the safe route, did 2 quarters, and I get looking at my long-term plan and go, wait a minute, let's just, that's why I wanted to now sit and show we're all on the same page. It's the same amount of money, it's the same amount of time that we're gonna spend, just a matter of, do you wanna move it up?
Yeah, I
that
was
makes
thinking
sense.
It's not as big a hit to the fund as it sounds, because we've
Right.
already.
Yeah,
like,
we've
basically
paid them.
taxed people on it, thinking it was in the
And that-
budget.
Either.
And that's why Jack said
Well,
there's 45 in there, because my bills were less than what we raised.
right. So you're being paid on the 4-year
Right,
idea,
right,
not the 3-year
So,
that we said, so
right.
so when the first 2 years were combined, you're 20 grand short,
right,
because you're supposed to pay 40, you only paid 30,
right,
so that's why you're getting
that's why that's 60 for those,
that's why,
the other half,
yeah,
and we'll just do that all this year.
and it's still the 212,500, I mean, it comes out the same, it's just.
Second, 2023,
May 6th, yeah,
that was tabled, and then it was like here. Then it voted. Remove from the table.
right. Yeah, and then we passed it. Yeah,
So I must have been there on the 3rd then?
oh, wait, is that a different resolution? Yeah. I think. Yeah, there you go. Something different, no, it's
Oh,
a few,
that's there.
yeah, it's a few. Motion passed with all votes in favor of.
Yeah.
Resolution 2328,
Yep.
and that was for the 40. Yeah, I have no idea, it's right here, resolution 2328. So now it's just a matter of us. Deciding how we want to
Now, did
pay
you-
what we already voted on.
So you never got a signed contract and you haven't submitted bills for it? Because you didn't get a contract for that.
I
Or did you
submitted,
submit bills and then,
I submitted bills during quarters. My first quarter, second quarter, I put in bill for 30,000 each quarter.
for 2023? So Q1 of 2023 and then Q2 of 2024?
Well, which we completed actually in January, so.
Yeah.
And I've been holding on the bill, not knowing which way we're gonna go with it. So the bill I emailed to you guys a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, and that's all set.
So
That was in the budget.
Yeah, so it's a matter of
I think what happened was,
executing the right plan, I guess.
so when it was tabled, I guess I was here and it was tabled, and when a decision was made after that, just kind of fell
Yeah,
apart and never really
although-
heard back.
It almost looks like we tabled it and then took it off the table and then voted on it, like the same, it looks like it was maybe the same night.
I think we're all on the
But we
same
can
page
look,
now.
yeah, it's just a matter of how we. I mean, it's really not a huge, you don't take it out of fund balance for regardless, I think.
So Jack,
Mhm.
the authorization is there for the work to be done, right?
Right.
Based on that, so can we just pay him, get caught up to where we need to be
Well,
for what we
he
have?
invoiced us for the work that he's done, and we have the money to pay that. It's all really just a matter of, our FY 25-26 budget.
So budgeting for what's coming now.
Budgeting what's coming, so what we have right now in the budget is $45,000. For the next quarter, and what we need to do is add to that the 137. From fund balance to pay the remainder of or to pay all but the very last payment, which would be in 26, 27.
27.
That would just pay all but the very last payment of 30,500.
Cause that payment's always our retainage for completion of the job, and we'll be having our hearings, meeting with taxpayers here. Well after July 1st, so that's why we hold that last bit,
Sure.
so.
Alright, well, I mean, I think we know the option we're going, we just need to, execute that
Yeah.
in the way we're gonna do that. That's, I guess that'd be the only discussion, but that can be on the.
So it have to be on this
On
agenda
the-
written out, or
No, I think it's part of the budget,
Make it part of the budget.
so
just incorporate it? into
should,
the budget?
yeah, should be fine,
Mhm.
which will. We have another discussion on that stuff anyway. So that can be part of it, but it's certainly a big. Hit to the fund balance.
But one time,
Yeah, one time is a good thing.
But some of the money's
It's
already
there,
put
yeah.
on there.
Some of the money's already there, so.
Yeah. All right, does anybody else have questions for Rob?
Mm.
Okay. Do you want me to put a draft contract together if you guys are okay? Kind of the standard that we use everywhere. We can work
Shouldn't
from
we
there.
already have a contract that we approved through the RFP process? The proposal, like,
Well, yeah, the contract's gonna look exactly the way I worded it in my proposal, just.
so we just need to change the payment terms of it.
Yeah, it would have.
I'll just email it to you.
So that was like the resolution to move forward in a certain direction, but then we would have probably had a different resolution for. An RFP and accepting the RFP.
Well, no.
Or is that-
we would've voted to approve
Oh, that was
the
that.
if there was any contract provisions that you wanted to review and vote on, but you probably had did you have the contract language in with the RFP? So that was all,
So but if he doesn't have a signed contract yet, we'd need a contract submitted to the council for approval. And then
That could be on the next.
that's what
agenda.
would come to us,
That's what-
approving the actual contract. Even though we said we were already gonna pay
I
it,
just feel like
we
we
have to
would have
approve
already,
the contract.
I feel like we would have already done it or should have, but
Yeah.
obviously we didn't, so.
But we're all on the same page and we're not gonna do we're
Yeah.
not gonna do any more on the project until this fall. So we have a little bit of time, but so when I prepare my planning,
Yeah,
I'll email you that contract and if you guys look over it.
yep, yeah, we'll ideally put it on next
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, be on the agenda May 20th and.
Move it through.
All right,
All right.
excellent.
On a little other things, while I have you, the 6-month budget's going pretty well from our office. A lot of questions, a lot of what ifs, and just, it's a little more run around that we've been doing, but. It was easier, it's smoother than I was worried about, well, it still went pretty well, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't heard too much, like it was a necessary evil type
Right,
thing, but
right, and it's better this way than sometimes doing 18-month, which is just a really a big disaster, so.
yeah, great.
All right,
Go with that.
yeah, thank you all.
Awesome,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for coming. You can stay for the rest.
Well, let's move the truck.
Yeah. All right. This is just us from here on out. All right, well, that's, good to at least figure out now, not later. So that's good. Moving on, no public hearings tonight, town managers report, everybody has it in their council package, I don't know. Do you need to go over it, Jack, or maybe from the?
Just hit on a few things. We do have our new website live and it's still a work in progress because we're still adding things to it and learning different features and stuff and just some today where we can feature a piece of news on a banner up top and then put it in on a news tab. So I think the more we learn some of the intricacies of it, the better it'll be from here.
Excellent.
And with that, we have a new domain, so officially we're pittsfieldmaine.gov. And all of the old addresses are still gonna work, so if anybody looks for the site with that old URL, we still get bounced to it. And the emails will be a little more straightforward, everyone will have an email, and it'll be their first initial, last name, at pittsfieldmaine.gov. So the old email addresses will bounce to that, for a significant amount of time, more than a year. Going through insurance coverages, trying to make sure, where we wanna be with, our inventory on that. I had mentioned that I'd spoken with Jared with MDOT regarding the VPI Villages Partnership Initiative. And so while we're sort of waiting to get into the next phase, one of the things that Jared offered up is the chance to be part of a, I think what he described as a demonstration project, where some of the concepts of the VPI is to slow traffic down in some key areas, one of which I think was in and around MCI, to use some devices that they put in the field that kind of help kind of set the circumstances for they create visual cues to slow down, basically. They're really just kind of reflective bollards that kind of will narrow in toward the white line from the shoulder. And basically what that does is gives the DOT a chance to see whether those devices are effective in the field to do what we actually want to accomplish with the DPI. And that's helpful when we go to apply for the grant, to say that we tested some of our devices in the field, and we did notice that there was traffic slowing down, traffic doing, there was some improved safety. So we're gonna get more information on that and how many locations, but the DOT provides the equipment that we need to do it, and I'll get a timeline from Jared and what that looks like. And the Northern Border Regional Commission grant, is something that does go along with VPI, and we're just staying the course for that. Doing the reporting and at least letting them know that we're through the concept design stage of that, which was part of that grant. We have applied to KV Cog through their Brownfields program for some assessment work on the Lancey Street parcel, the former Ford dealership, as to whether that would be a candidate for a Brownfields project. So that's being considered in conjunction with the owners and in collaboration with the owners. And I also did receive a letter of interest regarding the theater. I got it via email that I printed out and included in my report. And the last thing I wanted to mention was that the nomination period closed as of last Monday, I believe. And we did not have any nomination papers turned in. So that nomination period's closed, and we don't have any papers.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
Alrighty. We will move on to item number 8, old business. There's none. Item number 9, new business, resolution 2548. Do you want to read that, Jack, or do you want me?
Yeah, resolution 2548, resolved that the town council award the bid for the Spasket Street Culvert and Crawford Road Bridge repair projects to Knowles Industrial Services Corporation for a total project amount of $265,200, and that the town council resolves to include in the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget an appropriation in the amount of $265,200 from undesignated fund balance to fund the projects.
Look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 2548.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Think we all discussed this at one of the previous meetings, so we kind of know what this is all about. Anybody have any questions or concerns regarding resolution 2548? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 2548, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2548 passes. We're moving on to resolution 2549. Jack.
Resolution 2549, resolved that the town council accept the quote from Eastern Epoxy LLC for $8,000 for repairs to the floor at the town pool.
Look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2549.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Jack, did you wanna, well, I mean, it kind of says it right here. Looks like Jacob needed to redo the floor. Got 2 bids. And recommended Eastern Epoxy LLC. Does anybody have any questions for this? Sounded like they had the funds within there.
Yes,
budget.
they actually, Jacob and I think the rec committee laid out various projects over the last 3 or 4 years, and they fit well with our current budget structure. Well, we've this fits into that. We don't have to increase the budget to cover that, and
Okay,
so.
good. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm just, This is the same guy that did my epoxy floor, remember?
Hopefully, he did a good job. I think he did work for the school, right? Or he has.
I believe so. Jacob thought that he had done some work in the school system. I don't know if that, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm assuming he was listening familiar with them.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or anything?
That's a different person.
Okay. All right, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2549, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2549 passes. Moving on to item number 10, public discussion. Probably not any tonight, we have nobody in the audience. Better luck next week. Moving on to councilor comments. Old faithful,
No comment.
nothing, okay, well, thank you, Pete, we like the consistency. Heather?
I'll just say that, popped onto the website and I saw that was like changed over earlier today or yesterday when I was looking for something. And, very bright and vibrant, and that's really nice to see that project coming to fruition after talking about it for, I think, 10 years. So that's great to see that being implemented and, be submitting the Cheese Festival paperwork for the next meeting as well.
Excellent.
Be coming forward.
Anything else? Good.
Everybody hope for sunny weather and it's stuff.
Yeah, we can hope. Natalia?
Yeah, website looks great, checked it out too, looks awesome, nice picture of you on there, Jay, cutting the ribbon at the airport.
Oh, good grief, yeah.
And then question, when do we talk about the letter from the folks interested in the theater?
Don't
I read it, and
necessarily know.
what are the next steps with that?
I think, yeah, what are the next steps? Go ahead.
What I wanted to mention is that I was delivered today with a proposal from a community group who I've talked with a few of those folks over the past month or so, and they did some, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I don't really know. So we can have that, basically we'd have the theater as an agenda item if council would like to, discuss whatever expressions of interest that we've received, recently, and they'd be really two at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can have it as a discussion item. I would encourage people to do a quick Google search for the proposal that you have in your packet. And you will find some interesting things that I'm not so sure we want to deal with, but you guys can do the research and let it, and we can all discuss it together, but, I think I don't think it's much of a discussion on, or it's not for me, but that's, I'm just one person, so. But yeah, we can certainly, I don't know who this other thing is, but if you wanna send out whatever you can send it to the council, we can discuss it, I mean, it's. Yeah, I don't know, just don't take the right person,
I'd
I
like,
did hear there was, an adjacent building that sold, so. Hopefully. Somebody that's interested in that may be interested in more, but I don't know that for sure.
I'd like to make a suggestion that if the council is gonna review proposals, that we do that in executive session to begin with,
Sure.
rather than in public session, just because we're talking about, disposition of property of the town and, it impacts public businesses.
Yeah.
That are making, or groups that are making I just think
Yeah.
it needs to be happening in executive session to start, to gather information and have a full idea. And then, go forward with it in public session if we need to.
Sure. Is that appropriate?
Yes, we can do that because it involves the conveyance of real estate. And any discussions involving the terms for conveying real estate can be discussed in executive session and then voted on in open session if and when that time ever came.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's any information from the second one that we could pass along to the council,
Yeah, sure.
then we can at least
No rush, obviously.
review it beforehand and have an idea of what we're. And, yeah, I know next council meeting is gonna be loaded with a lot of stuff, so I don't.
It doesn't even need
I
to
don't-
be there, say no rush, just.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, I don't think it's super time sensitive as
Not at
far as
all.
the May 20th goes, but.
Just would like to talk about it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, sooner rather than later, sure, but yeah, just. We can play it by ear on that.
Okay, cool, thank
You all
you.
set?
Yeah.
Alrighty, yeah, I mean, I don't have too much, I saw the street sweeper had started. Down like Peltoma last week, but I didn't see much way beyond that was. I know there was a. Post that went out, that they were gonna be out the first couple weeks of May, but
Yeah,
I assume with all the rain and. That stuff, maybe that impacts it, or
yeah, I'll.
I wasn't sure if it broke down too, because it just went one way and then I never saw anywhere else that was cleaned up, so.
I think now that we're delayed to this point, we'll get an updated timeline and then just put that out.
Okay, yeah, it just looked like they had started and maybe stopped, so.
They were
That-
cleaning up on Main Street on yesterday.
Oh, were they?
Well, right in front of the bank and the veterans,
Oh,
there,
okay.
they actually had a Kubota or a,
Oh,
what was the thing?
Yeah.
Skid steer.
oh, it's good to you, sure.
It had the skid steer, like big piles, and then putting it in the tractor, so for the dump truck, but they were cleaning, but not with the.
Yeah,
but
okay,
It could
yeah,
have been too wet and too much.
Yeah, I mean-
well, that's the thing, we're getting a ton of rain. and-
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's,
just curious, an updated timeline or
I think it's,
communication, whatever it might
I
be.
think the goal is like 10 work days.
Yeah.
So that takes 3 weeks to get,
Right,
10 days that isn't too wet to do it.
Yeah.
Of course.
and they left it open enough, I mean, it said beginning of May, it's still first few weeks of May, so. So that's good to see, hopefully, that gets cleaned up, appreciate, we had a, culvert that was kind of messed up down on the, sewer treatment road, and, they're assessing that and hopefully get that fixed, that'll be good. Don't really have much else, I know the next meeting will be May 20th, and we'll wrap up the budget discussion. Worst case, we go into the following week, before putting it to public hearing, but hopefully we get more participation and have a full council and good discussion that night. And I guess that's pretty much it. Look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay.